Olá pessoal, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to learn the main structures and verb tenses that we need to be able to talk about the past. We're going to start by looking at past events and actions that are complete. They took place and ended in the past. For that, we need the pretérito perfeito, or preterite. Let's have a look at some examples. Let's suppose that yesterday I spent the afternoon at the shopping center. I can say, ontem passei a tarde no shopping center. And if I want to say, for example, that I bought a coat and a hat, I can say, comprei casaco e chapéu. So these actions of me spending the afternoon in the shopping center and buying a coat and a hat took place and ended yesterday. So in this case, we need to use the preterite tense. Now sometimes we actually use the presente, the present tense, when talking about the past. And we do that in order to add a more dramatic tone to the narrative, just like we sometimes do that in English. For example, aí ela olha para mim e diz, nunca mais fale comigo assim. Then she looks at me and says, never speak to me like that again. So here we're using the present tense just to add a little bit more drama. But of course, this could have been said by just using the preterite. Now let's examine the different ways to express the duration of a past event or action. So the first way we can do that is by using a, which comes from the verb haver. Let's see some examples here. A atriz morreu há 20 anos. The actress died 20 years ago. Another example. Recebi o pacote há 1 hora. I received the package 1 hour ago. Another way is by using atrás, which also will mean ago in these examples, but atrás can also be translated as behind. So let's have a look at these same examples that we've just seen, but this time using the word atrás. A atriz morreu 20 anos atrás. Recebi o pacote 1 hora atrás. And the third way is by using faz from the verb fazer. Let's see the same examples here. A atriz morreu faz 20 anos. The second example, recebi o pacote faz 1 hora. When talking about an event that lasted for a period of time, but it's now over, we also use the preterite, the pretérito perfeito. For example, morei na Inglaterra durante 5 anos. I lived in England for 5 years. Passei 6 dias no Rio. I spent 6 days in Rio. The next examples we are going to see have to do with past events and actions that actually have some bearing in the present. So the focus here is not so much when it happened, but what effect it has in the present. To convey that idea in English, we use the present perfect. But in Portuguese, we actually use the preterite again, the pretérito perfeito. Some examples. Let's suppose that you are in a party and you've had too much to drink, you're not feeling too well. You could say, bebi demais, não estou me sentindo muito bem. I've drunk too much, I'm not feeling well. So the emphasis here is that I'm not actually feeling well because I've drunk too much. So in English we would use the perfect tense, I have drunk. But in Portuguese, we just need to use the preterite. Bebi demais. Another example. Ela está triste porque não passou no teste. She's sad because she hasn't passed the test. So the fact that she hasn't passed the test means that she is now sad. And that's what I mean by having some bearing in the present. Now let's see the structure to talk about prolonged or repeated actions that started in the past and are still happening in the present. For long-term actions, we need to use the present tense. And for short-term actions, we need to use the present continuous. Here are some examples. Moro na Inglaterra desde 1994. I have been living in England since 1994. So this is a long-term action. We need to use the present tense. Another example. Ele está assistindo televisão desde as 7 da manhã. He's been watching TV since 7 a.m. Short-term action, present continuous. Now let's have a look at the immediate past. How to convey the idea that someone has just done something. To express the idea of have or have just, we need to use the preterite of the verb acabar with the preposition de and the infinitive of the main verb. So to say, for example, I have just had dinner, you can say acabei de jantar. So here you have acabei, which is the preterite conjugated with eu of the verb acabar, which is acabei. We've got the preposition de, and then we have the infinitive of the main verb, to have dinner, jantar. Acabei de jantar. I have just had dinner. Let's see another example. Ele acabou de sair. He has just left. So here we have the preterite of acabar conjugated with ele, and then we've got the preposition de, and then the verb sair, which is the main verb that we're using here, which means to leave. He has just left. Ele acabou de sair. Another way of referring to the immediate past is to use the preterite of the main verb, followed by agora or agora mesmo. That will give an idea of right now or just this minute. Agora means now. So let's see an example. Jantei agora. That means I have just had dinner. So here we've got the preterite of the verb jantar, and then we've got agora, now. The other example that we're using here, ele saiu agora mesmo. He has left just this minute. So the preterite of the verb sair conjugated with ele, and then agora mesmo, which gives the idea of just this minute. Okay, so now let's see how to talk about actions that have been happening in the recent past. For example, what have you been doing lately? We need to use the present of the verb ter plus the past participle of the main verb. For example, to say what have you been doing lately, you can say o que você tem feito ultimamente? So here, the present tense of the verb ter plus the past participle of the verb fazer, which is feito, which is the verb we're using here in this question. So what have you been doing lately? O que você tem feito ultimamente? Now, an answer to that could be tenho estudado muito ultimamente. I have been studying a lot lately. So here, the verb ter conjugated with eu in the present, tenho, plus the past participle of the main verb here, the past participle of the verb estudar, is estudado. Tenho estudado muito ultimamente. I have been studying a lot lately. Okay, moving on to talking about past habitual actions. We use the imperfect tense when asking and giving information about actions that happened regularly in the past over an unspecified period. Let's see some examples here. So the imperfect tense is what we're looking at here. So to say I used to exercise from time to time, you can say eu fazia exercício de vez em quando. Fazia is the imperfect of fazer conjugated with eu. Eu fazia. Fazia exercício de vez em quando. I used to exercise from time to time. Another example. Ela vinha aqui todo dia. She used to come here every day. So here we have vinha, which is the imperfect of the verb vir, which means to come, conjugated with ela. Ela vinha aqui todo dia. She used to come here every day. So now let's see how to describe states or actions in progress over an unspecified period of time in the past. Again, we're going to use the imperfect tense. So here we're using the imperfect tense to describe states that set the scene or actions in progress in an unspecified period of time. Some examples here to make it clearer. Ontem não fui trabalhar porque estava doente. Yesterday I didn't go to work because I was sick. Another example, quando eu era criança não tinha internet. When I was a child, there was no internet. So we're talking about state or actions that were in progress over a period of time that was not specified in the past. Now let's have a look at the structure we need to be able to talk about two actions in the past. One continuous action and one action that took place at a specific point during that continuous action. An example in English would be, I was having dinner when someone knocked at the door. You have the continuous action, I was having dinner, and you have the action that happened at a specific point. Someone knocked at the door. Let's have a look at the equivalent Portuguese sentence. Eu estava jantando quando alguém bateu na porta. So we have the continuous action in the past, eu estava jantando, and that is formed by the pretérito imperfeito, the imperfect of the verb estar, which is estava, plus the gerund of the verb, jantando. So this is the verb jantar, to have dinner, in the gerund jantando. So eu estava jantando, I was having dinner. Quando alguém bateu na porta, when someone knocked at the door. And here we have the verb bater in the simple past, the preterite, bateu. Let's see another example. Ela estava tomando banho quando o telefone tocou. She was having a shower when the telephone rang. Now let's have a look at the structure we need to be able to talk about two actions in the past, but this time one action took place before the other one. An example in English would be, I ate the banana that I had bought at the supermarket. Two actions, to eat and to buy. To buy happened before to eat. Let's see the same example in Portuguese. Eu comi a banana que eu tinha comprado no supermercado. So what do we have here? We have the verb comer, conjugated in the pretérito perfeito, which is the preterite, the simple past. Eu comi, I ate. And then we have what the equivalent would be, I had bought. The verb ter needs to be conjugated in the pretérito imperfeito, the imperfect of the verb ter, which is tinha. And then we need comprado, which is the past participle of the verb comprar. So, tinha comprado. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of this video. Now you know the main structures you need to be able to talk about past events and actions. If you found this video useful, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and click on the bell icon so that you get a notification every time I post a new video. Muito obrigado, até a próxima!